Hi there. My name is David Batsoffen, and I host a travel blog called Travel and Things. At the moment, I'm doing a series called In Conversation With, where I chat to people both inside the travel industry, the world of photography, and a couple of entertainers along the way. And today, I'm chatting to Helena Atkinson. I don't want to say a photographer in her own right. That's what I want to say, because I'm sure a lot of people go, "Aren't you Grant's wife?" And you go, "Here we go again." Helena, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, David. Nice to talk to you. Nice to see you again after so many years.
It has been a long while. I think the last time we saw each other was in Botswana when I was with Pangolin and Grant for a couple of days. I've still got the one picture that your husband did of me where he made me hang over the bow of the photographic canoe because there was a crocodile that he wanted in. He wanted both me and the crocodile in the shot. And he goes, "It won't eat you, David." I'm going, right.
That's his signature move, is getting people to hang over boats to get crocodiles.
Is that what it is? Now I know. Next time he can hang out, I'll hold him. Helena, talk to us about what it's like to be. Is there a difference between female wildlife photographers and male wildlife photographers in 2020?
Yeah, I think the most basic answer to that is I think there's often a different style. Certainly, if I take it to the way Grant and I shoot, people will often say he's the more technical photographer, and he enjoys the challenge of getting the settings right, predicting the animal behavior, and making the most of what the camera can offer. That's what he enjoys, and getting that really, really good action shot. Whereas I find more joy in trying to be creative and seeing, how can I turn the opportunity in front of me into something different that someone else hasn't done, or at least something that I really enjoy looking at afterwards. And I find often when we take clients out, women gravitate a bit more towards that style, and men gravitate a bit more towards, what setting should I be on? I've bought this new camera. What is new about it? What is different? So that would be, I would say, the most basic difference in how we approach things. Yeah.
It's always boys and toys, Helena. We were, and I hear what you're saying, because I've interviewed a couple, because August is Women's Month, and I've been looking specifically at female photographers. And I've noticed, and I've watched your work over the years since I first met you. And it is exactly that. Yours is the more, I don't want to say ethereal, but some of your shots they are beautifully structured. And it's not quite what was in front of you. And if I was to compare a photograph that Grant had taken at exactly the same time, they would be hugely different. And for both for the right reasons. So it's fascinating that women do see the more gentler side of what is being photographed.
Yeah, and we also, that's why it's fun to work with my husband, and that's why, we enjoy when we get couples on our trips. We enjoy male and female photographers. We enjoy beginners and really advanced photographers, because we both have such a different approach that we can have a lot of fun with different people out there. But I will say this: we have some male clients that also really enjoy being quite creative with their photography. So I don't want to pigeonhole anyone. Don't want to be guilty of that.
Gender stereotype.
Exactly. Shouldn't do that. But in general, I find the women are the ones that enjoy that a bit more, and dare I say, are sometimes a bit more open to experimenting.
Talk to me about Helena in matric. What was she like?
I already knew what I was going to do after school, which was conservation. That's what I studied at Stellenbosch. Yeah. So I had a good idea of what I was going to do. I just needed to often be reminded that I needed good maths and science marks to achieve that. That wasn't so easy for me. I had some really wonderful friends. I have an identical twin sister, actually, who's in a completely different field than I am. She is in the theater drama world. and actually very successful at that.
Who is she, if I may ask?
Her name is Cornelia Farson, and she is the head of a national theatre initiative that promotes and develops specifically Afrikaans theatre.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's quite involved in the art festivals, actually.
What art festivals, Helena? What art festivals?
Well, she's been actually quite involved in helping art festivals figure out, how to go digital or what is Plan B. Yeah, so we shouldn't say that they didn't happen. Some of them, I think, have gone online quite a bit. But yes, what art festivals for 2020? So my plan was always to go after school to go into conservation, into something to do with wildlife. So I think in matric I was already quite focused on that.
To use a pun, intentionally, I hope.
Yes.
Do you remember what your first camera was? And do you still have it?
I do not still have it. It was the Canon 40D. And that was the camera Grant gave me.
Oh.
So I didn't have a choice in whether I was Canon or Nikon. I was very grateful though for the camera. Grant always relates our years together as that was the 40D years or the 50D years or the 7D years. And so then it became 5D and 1D. That's how he remembers how long we've been married.
So whereas other people look at anniversaries, gold, silver, platinum, wood, paper, all of that, you just use model numbers.
Yeah. Well, he does. That's how he remembers it.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was part of my absolute initial interest and attraction to Grant was his camera gear and what he knew about it. So when we first started seriously dating, he gave me a camera. It was a secondhand one, and then he's used that sly technique over the years many times where he's like, I'm going to give you this one, and then he buys a new one. I'm
like
on to him now. I've got
it's like cell phones if you've got children. Your child always inherits you upgrade, and your child gets your one. You never give the kid the upgrade.
That's what he's done with me. But then one year I said, no, now it's my turn for a new one. And he did.
That's all good. It sort of works itself out, swings and roundabouts. I saw yesterday somebody asking an online question of a particular organization as to what camera they should buy to shoot wildlife. And then you get 40,000 answers because everybody has an opinion on Facebook. And they start with this poor person, and I don't remember what gender, so that's unimportant. But this poor person asked a very simple question. And then the people who answered started going to, it's got to have this setting and that setting, and you've got to look for this and look for that. And I'm thinking, you know what? These are beginners. Let them get a bridge camera. It's got an A setting and a P setting. That's all you need to start with. And then just go out and shoot. That's the beauty of digital. It either works or it doesn't. You'll come back with 4,000 images and throw away 3,999 of them. Does it make any difference?
Yeah, that's the fun of digital photography. But we often get asked that question, what camera should I buy? I want to get into it, or I've had a point and shoot for many years and I'm now ready to upgrade. And first place I always start is I ask somebody, what's your budget? And based on that, what is the best in that budget range? Because the cameras are all good. You just have to then know what your camera can or can't do, and then just make the most of it. But I think, some people are so set on a certain brand, but that's not necessarily what's best for that person. And the best place to start is how much do you want to spend? Otherwise, you will end up selling your house because there's no limit to what you can buy in terms of gear.
None whatsoever. You remind me, my wife and I were in a vehicle in Madikwe some years ago, and I was shooting with an Italian fellow, and he was getting beautiful impala shots, impala leaping over bushes, and I was either only getting heads or bums. So I said to him, what's your frame speed? And he told me, and I sort of went, I turned to my wife and I said, I'm getting a new camera when I get home. 3 frames a second is not going to do it. I'm sorry. And that was my rationale behind changing, because I wanted to get leaping Impala. That's all it was. Get to 8 or 10 or even 15 frames a second, and then you can get those shots, you know. But again, as you say, budget at the moment is ridiculous. It really is.
Yeah.
And every incarnation of camera that comes out now, I think back to when I started, which was a film camera, and I don't think in the 30 odd years before I changed to digital that I spent as much on camera gear as I did in my first 2 years of digital.
What gear are you shooting with right now, David?
And here we go. And so it starts. I have always, in fact, allow me to vanish from screen. Exit stage right. Watch this. Why? Because I forgot to get this. This was my first camera, and I still have it. And it works.
That's amazing.
And to this day, I still shoot Pentax. K3 and K1. Because you can't sort of go out with 2 K1s. It gets a bit like, so you've spent so much money on 2 bodies. Good for you. Yeah. So I have always stayed with Pentax. And strangely, you talk Canon and Nikon. It's much like the Coke and Pepsi wars. That's all, or Land Rover and Toyota Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
But the majority of people started their careers shooting Pentax because their parents shot with Pentax, and then they got the camera handed down to them. My parents had a 110, one of those little box brownies, and I had a Kodak Instamatic. And I thought I was the biggest thing since sliced bread with that camera. I've still got that one as well. But this was the first DSLR or the first SLR that I got.
Yeah.
So,
well, these days we're not getting so much Canon versus Nikon. We're getting a lot of everything versus Sony.
Yeah.
That's the question we're mostly getting these days about which direction to go in. Yeah. But we've actually ordered the Canon the R6. So we're waiting for that to come to see.
Is that the one that you just put on the vehicle and send the vehicle out robotically, and the camera just takes all the pictures and then brings it back to you? You don't even have to leave your house.
Well, we need it now that we can't actually travel to the places we meant to.
Well, this was going to be my next question. Somebody said to me, "What are you doing at the moment?" And I said, "I'm a non-traveling travel writer." And then I sort of extrapolated that, and I said to the person, whatever you were on the 26th of March, all you do is add the word non in front of that now. Because you, like you and Grant, were photographers on the 26th of March. At the moment, you're non-photographers. Even if he does go to the sewage work to take pictures of flamingos, it doesn't really count. Or I go to a game park, you know, that's got animals in enclosures. That doesn't really count. You're not a wildlife photographer if the animal is lying 6 inches from you and is too lazy to go anywhere, and you haven't had to track it for 4 hours.
Yeah, it was quite an adjustment at the beginning of lockdown to, you know, going from waking up every morning at 4:30, going on a game drive to, well, whatever. I mean, we slept so late at the beginning of lockdown because we were like, we don't know what to do. So we just slept. But it has been in a way kind of good as well to be at home for a little bit. In the sense that, you know, we obviously want to get back to our first love and our passion and our clients and earning an income. That would be nice. But we've tried to also make the most of the time at home. So we've spent a lot of time doing work on our website. And then I also do work part-time when I'm back home for Pangolin.Africa, a pangolin conservation organization. So we've made some great progress over the last few months with some projects that, you know, we just haven't been able to spend enough time and energy on. So it's not all been bad, but we are itching to get back
Uh,
out into the bush.
we all are. When the president on Sunday said level 2, my suitcase is packed, but I said to him, it has been since March. I don't want to unpack it. I don't know about you, Helena. I hate packing with a passion,
Yeah.
and I will pack. I will get up at 3 o'clock on the morning that I have to leave to pack rather than pack the night before. And you'd think
Really?
after 18 years of being a travel writer, I would relish the task, or at least not hate
Yeah.
it so much. So now I leave a suitcase semi-packed, so that all I've got to do is add, I don't know, another pair of underpants or a t-shirt or maybe a bath,
Yeah.
towel or something. But I hate it with a passion. I really and truly do. But I said to my wife, I'm not going anywhere just yet, because I do believe that a lot of these lodges at the moment are going to be looking to fill their beds quickly so that they can get an income. They're not looking for writers or photographers just yet.
Yeah.
So the beauty of lockdown, and I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, is not having to get up at 4 o'clock on a freezing winter's morning in the middle of Madikwe to go out on a game drive to watch Impala looking back at you, who are just as frozen as you are.
I would give anything to see that frozen Impala right now. I don't mind.
I have to tell you, you mentioned the Pangolin Workshop. After 53 years of waiting, I found my first pangolin last year in November. And I got to spend an hour and a half with it. The ranger or the guide left me with a tracker and said, look, there were American guests on the vehicle. She said, they don't understand this, and you've waited 53 years. So we'll go off and we'll leave you here. And when I got back to the lodge and told my wife what I'd seen, literally the first words out of her mouth were, where are you going to put the tattoo? Because she knew. I came home, it's on the back of my right calf.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you get nice photos?
I got some really nice photos, because in the beginning, it was a big male, and he was under a bush. And I thought, well, if this is all I'm going to see after 53 years, and this is all I'm going to see, just be grateful for it. And once sort of everybody settled down, because some other vehicles came and left, then he came out and he was very relaxed, snuffling around. I got some nice face pictures. I got pictures of him walking across the empty or the open ground in front of me. And they sort of ignore you, they know they're special. And then after him, Aardvark took the top spot. And I was at Mabula in June to do some work. I was able to go up with special dispensation because I'm writing content for them. First game drive, there's something snuffling on the side of the road. 4:30 in the afternoon. I don't say anything because I thought it was a baby warthog, but my camera is at the ready. The guide doesn't say anything. We get closer. He looks at me. I look at him and I go, it's an aardvark, isn't it? True enough, Helena. 4:30 in the afternoon. Here's this little thing snuffling along the side of the road. We spent 20 minutes with it before it vanished. Got some really nice images. And they say, no, and you'd know this being involved in conservation. Don't worry, aardvark do that. It's 4:30, it's a little chilly. So they come out 11:30 the next morning. Same aardvark.
Yeah, I don't have one good photo of an aardvark. That's pretty amazing.
I'll send you one. You can use it you can use it with my permission.
Well, I'd love to see your pangolin photos.
I will do. I'll send them to you once we're done. So I know that you've not only photographed in South Africa, because I know that you, and I think Grant followed us when you went to India just after we were there, but you'd gone to a different park. We went to Pench National and you went somewhere else. Talk to me about your feelings when you saw a tiger for the first time.
We went to Bandhavgarh National Park. So we work with a great operator in India. And when we chatted to him beforehand, he said to us, in terms of predicting consistent tiger sightings, Bandhavgarh is quite good. So I went, and the first time I saw it was a female tiger, and she came out of the bush, and I was shaking so much I couldn't even take a photo. And the guide was saying to me, "Just breathe," because I completely stopped breathing. And it was magical to me, because first of all, they are so big, and then second of all, the colors just completely blew me away. It's brighter than you ever think it can be. So no, I will never ever forget that moment. It also gave me good insights into what people feel when they come to Africa for the first time and they see a lion or a leopard or a cheetah, even elephants, I mean, or giraffe. I mean, the animals just blow people away. So that moment where you're sitting in the vehicle and everybody around you is calm because it's an everyday sighting for you, but you are losing your mind. It's a pretty special animal to see. And everyone I've seen since then, that feeling hasn't completely gone away. It's really, it's quite a special thing.
You mentioned about the color. It almost looks like the color's been boosted through some sort of software. When you look at the images, you go, hang on a second, that can't be that orange. I've got to tone it. No, that's what it was like. I mean, I was so overwhelmed. I wasn't shaking. I just sort of sat and looked. I went, oh, it's a tiger. And then the realization kicked in. And then it's a tiger.
But I don't know if it's like, I've been to Pinch. I think in Band of God, we experienced this quite a few times. When somebody does see a tiger, everybody gets so excited. So you hear this call go through all the vehicles where everybody goes, tiger, 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 tiger. And that moment, you can't help but get excited yourself. I absolutely love going there. It's also because, talking about color, we go in April, May. We go when it's quite dry. Because we want to see the tigers at the water holes and when the vegetation is not so thick. So it's pretty hot, but I love the forest colors that time of the year, the green and orange and browns and yellows. So I feel like anything you photograph in that forest it's like a fairy tale picture to me. So we often have people say to us, tell me how crowded it is and tell me how hot it is. And you have to really talk people through that and mentally prepare them. But then once they've seen a tiger, I think all of that goes away. But even photographing peacocks there, the spotted deer, anything in that forest, the langur monkeys, I also really love photographing.
Those langur monkeys, the first time I saw one of those, I thought it had its mouth sewn together, because they've got that sort of beard, but it looks like a shrunken head. They're the weirdest looking things. But
the babies are like,
the babies are very cute.
They're very cute. But then the big males always sit around like they like guys sitting around a fire talking about like deep things in life. They're fascinating, and I can spend time with any primate for hours. And the little ones, they are so and they're so used to people. So you get really good photo opportunities of them as well. But we did go to Pinch last year, and we saw Indian wild dog, or the dog, for the first time. That was
we found as well, and we found leopard as well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but the leopard sighting wasn't great. There were about 5,000 vehicles parked. Those tiny gypsies. I'll give those drivers their credit. They can put a gypsy into a place that nobody else can park that thing.
That is true. That is true. But we had a very brief leopard sighting in Kana National Park, but not any photo opportunities. But that was. I'll tell you a funny story about a leopard sighting in Sri Lanka. We were at Yala National Park, and there was a leopard on some of those big boulders. That's kind of the iconic shots from Yala National Park. So there was a young male leopard on top of these boulders. And of course, a lot of cars showed up immediately. But what I will say is quite quickly, everybody worked out a system. So one car could go, have a few minutes, take photos, move on. So everybody got into this rotation. So we wait and we wait, and it's finally our turn. And we get to the front, and the leopard starts getting up and it's stretching. And we're like, we're going to get a shot of this leopard jumping down. And I'm sitting there waiting, ready to shoot. And we weren't with clients. It was just Grant and I and some friends that went. So I was ready to get my shot. And as the leopard starts coming down, a guy from the car next to us says to me, ma'am. And Grant said to me, don't answer. I wasn't sure what's going on. So I looked away and I answered the person. He's like, can you give me some of those photos? And when I turned around, the leopard had jumped down. I was like, he was the nicest guy. He stayed at the same lodge as we did. So I chatted to him afterwards. I was like, you have no idea what you cost me. Yeah, he had no idea. He was a very nice person. So I did give him some of the other photos, but I'm like, I can't give you one of a leopard jumping down because you cost me that photo. I will never, ever forget that day.
I would have given him a picture with your name right across it in bold, dark letters. Going there, that's the photograph. Or just a picture of the empty rocks. You get that. I would have got the leopard, but you spoke to me, you silly bugger.
That's what I got, is empty rocks.
You've obviously, as a wildlife photographer, you must have had plenty of those moments, Helena, where for a split second your eye is away from the viewfinder, and in that moment, whatever you've been sitting and waiting for the last however long happens, and then the next picture is useless, basically, because that's not what you want.
That definitely does happen. Also, you know, because we are often out there as the guides, the photographic guides. So you can't always be focused on your own photos. You have to, in the moment if somebody says, my camera is not working, what setting should I be on? My camera's gone off.
Figure it out.
You can't. That's the thing. You have to, in that moment, put your things down and turn around and help the other person because they've paid you to be there. So, and that's not their fault. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's often moments where you're like, I wish I could also get that shot. But often, you know, we're there to help clients with their photos. But that's a big part of wildlife photography is patience. And how long are you going to be willing to sit under the tree? And how long are you going to be willing to wait for that leopard to get up and come down the tree, for the cheetah to get up and hunt? And, you know, I'm a big believer in staying out the whole day. And you stick it out and you sit there and you have a nap and you have your sandwiches. But the people who sit out there and wait, they get the shots. So...
Now, this is it, dashing back to the lodge just to have breakfast. Always irks me because they say, I'm sorry we have to leave the sighting, but. Hey, what do you mean you're sorry? I'm prepared to starve until 12 o'clock if I have to sit here that long. The only thing I don't have patience for, and I am in awe of bird photographers, because they have an innate patience that I've tried. Sit in a hide and I go, okay, I'm going to stay here for the next 6 hours, hoping that one bird will land on a reed. And after 20 minutes, I go, to hell with this. This is boring.
I think a lot of people will agree with you. Bird photography takes a special kind of patience to get it right.
Either a special person or lots of medication. I'm not sure which.
Don't they go hand in hand normally?
I think so. But you must have seen, and I don't know if he's Austrian or Australian, there was a guy, he took 6 years and 72,000 images to get a picture of a kingfisher just before its beak hit the water. 72,000 images and 6 years to do that. And then you've got it, and then what's next? It's like my pangolin sighting. Big deal. Now what do I do?
No, I think that photo is getting used all over the world for different things. So he obviously, people know who he is.
Making a lot of money out of it.
I hope so too. But the challenge sometimes is also to convince people that the sighting is worth waiting for.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people will arrive somewhere and they'll go, this doesn't look like anything's going to happen. And then convincing them that something might happen and then living with it afterwards when nothing did happen. It's always...
But now you bring that up. I remember sitting with you and Grant in a hide at a waterhole with Grant saying, no talking, no talking.
Yeah.
And we waited, I don't know, was it about an hour for the first elephant to arrive?
I
And we
think
just
so. Yeah.
sat there in dead silence, lest we scared
Yeah.
them off.
He's really good at that. He can sit there and wait. Now I like also chatting while you wait for things. I enjoy being out in the bush, and we have such wonderful clients that have become our friends. So
Yeah.
often we end up you sit under a tree and you have a long chat, and then hopefully some good wildlife action will happen.
That's going to be my next question. What do you expect of your guests? And conversely, what do your guests expect of you as wildlife photographers and guides?
One of the big things we expect from our clients is to trust us when we say, this is what we predict is going to happen. And then also quite often to trust us when we say we're going to leave a sighting because we think the animal is not comfortable, or that we are interfering with a potential hunt. So to trust us that we've got their best interest at heart, but that we, in many ways more so, we've always got the animal's best interest at heart. And then from what we think they expect from us is we always try and provide opportunities for different kind of photos. We like to use hides, but that's kind of become a standard photographic tool. But those are always, knowing which hides are good, booking them far enough in advance, because that is really, really fun to take photos from a hide.
Yeah.
But then also, getting out of the vehicle where it's possible, where it's safe, where the guide is comfortable. That's always important to us, is that the guide feels like we're not taking advantage or we're not putting them in a difficult position. But getting ground photos, sometimes using different ways to get those ground photos, using monopods, hanging the camera off the side of the car, using a remote, just different angles, different approaches. And then what we spend quite a bit of time as well with our clients with is editing the photos afterwards, if they're interested. Some people don't necessarily, they're not that interested in that part of the photography, but that's something we also enjoy, is showing different techniques, especially when it comes to more creative photography, because sometimes I know some people in the field have thought, why did Helena just give me that setting? That doesn't sound right. And then I have to show them afterwards what the picture in my head was. Otherwise they think, I think I'm going to ask for my money back because she sounds totally insane. So I enjoy doing that quite a bit as well. But in general, we want people who come to have realistic expectations of the photos they can get, to understand the role the lodge guides play in getting those photos, and being respectful and nice towards them, and then to have fun, because the places we get to go to and the pristineness of some of these places, that is very special, and we are very lucky to get to do that.
Are there still places, because I know you've done South American trips, if money was no object, and I gave you, now that once the lockdown is over and we can do international trips, if I gave you an open ticket to anywhere, where would you want to go and what would you want to photograph there?
I must say, I have many interests in wildlife. Right now, I would want to go to Patagonia and photograph the pumas, which we did for the first time last year. And the reason why I absolutely loved it so much is where we go and what we get to do there is quite unique, because you are totally in a specific area. It's not in the national park. It's outside of the park. It's on a ranch. You're allowed to get out of your vehicle, and some of the pumas are now used to people. They're definitely not tame. I would probably say habituated to humans on foot, and some of them you can get pretty close to. You always have a tracker with you and a guide, and they will tell you this is close enough, but it is pretty close, and you're on foot. You get to walk with them. You get to just observe. We observed quite a few hunts. We didn't see attempted hunts. We didn't actually see a kill. And then a mom with 4 youngsters just walking in this unbelievable scenery with like snow-capped mountains in the background and hills and pure blue lakes. So the idea of the first time when we stopped and the guide said to us, and there were pumas, and the guide said to us, "Get out." I was like, I mean,
right.
sure. I mean, we like to get out with animals, but this was so, everybody was so comfortable with it. And we got out and, you know, I got to lay on my stomach with a young puma walking straight at me. And I mean, it literally came right past me. So that feeling of the animal is comfortable because of the years of people being very respectful around them. I mean, that didn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
There's incredible guides and trackers that work there, and the owner of the ranch as well is quite strict. So many, many years of people acting respectfully gave rise to this situation where you're not just photo opportunities, that feeling of comfort and that the animal is okay with you that's pretty special. So I'll take, if I can bypass Brazil, then I'll take a ticket straight to
You don't want to go to
Chile
Brazil.
right now.
Why do you want to bypass Brazil?
Well, I mean, aren't they second in the world right now with COVID numbers?
Oh, true enough. Who knows?
Yeah.
These numbers are being massaged in such a way that you can scare people or entice them in. But we wait and see. What are you and Grant doing with your company now and looking to 2021 or 2020.2 as I've taken to calling it? It's just
it does feel like it's going to be a rinse and repeat of all the plans we had for 2020 is happening next year.
Yeah.
We right now it's just planning more or less the same trips for next year. We had to shift quite a few of our trips.
Yeah.
So some of them are literally the same trips we had planned for this year with the same clients coming on them. So yeah, 2021 is looking very similar to what 2020 was going to be. But yeah, we're chatting to a few places now about maybe running a couple of short trips in South Africa still before the end of the year. We're kind of keen on going to Samanga because of their wonderful hides and easy accessibility for South Africans. So that's what we're working on. But yeah, it's going to be the same kind of trips we normally do. But what we're seeing is people are dying to get to the bush and they're dying to go on safari. So we have a lot of people chatting to us right now about the safety and the probability and what do we think will happen next year. So hopefully it's more of the same that we've been doing because it's been pretty good so far.
That's great. If people want to find out more about you and the company and what both you and Grant offer, your website, your contact details?
So our website is grantatkinson.com. People can also email me at atkinson.helena@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook as Atkinson Photography and Safaris, and also on Instagram as Atkinson Photography and Safaris. Yeah.
So basically, there's no hiding from people who want to come on your tours. They can find you wherever they look.
Yes, we would love people to get in touch. And yeah, we love chatting to people about camera gear. What are they thinking of buying? You know, tips and tricks. And yeah, we just love connecting with other wildlife lovers. That's a big part of the joy of what we do.
Great stuff. Today, I have been in conversation with Helena Atkinson. Helena, thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. There's so many stories I still want to share with you, but for another day and another time.
Thank you, David.